The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And welcome to Generations Radio. I am Percy Ihara. As you guys know, every Saturday from 5 to 6, Sunday from 3 to 4, here on AM 690 The Answer. And this is March. We're getting ready for baseball season. So go Bows. Yes, Miss Jessica. And Houston Astros, yes. Don't worry. But anyway, we're here with these three lovely ladies here. Going to be talking about the Avalon Healthcare company or brand in Hawaii. And you have a number of facilities. And so we have three beautiful ladies here. Marlon, who's over at Hale Nani. Jessica who's a community relations person for for Avalon. And also Miss Jenna from Avalon. So welcome, ladies, to the show. And I know one of you got some experience. The other of you have never been on radio, so don't worry about it. Relax and tell us more about yourself. So Jessica, why don't we start with you? What your position with Avalon here in Hawaii is?
Thanks for having us. I am the Director of Community Relations for Avalon, Hale Nani, and Kalakaua Gardens when that should be opening up in March. April.
April.
We offer 3 levels of care at our facility, which is SNF, short-term rehab, hospice, and also long-term care. Within Avalon Healthcare, it is a business with helping people, and for this reason, we place individuals in our facility as our first priority. Okay, our success is by recognizing each person's wealth, creating and maintaining environment which individually is promoted with dignity and preserved.
And Miss Marlon, you're over at Hale Nani?
Yes, I've been at Hale Nani since 2011, but I've been assistant administrator for the last 8 months.
Oh, good for you.
Yes, and I totally love Hale Nani, from the staff to the residents and the family members that come through. It's just really rewarding to see the residents coming in and then they go home, they walk out. I mean, like they come in with a hip fracture or a knee fracture, and they come out smiling and ready to go home to be with their family. So.
And Hale Nani is the one in Makiki, because I live nearby there.
Yep, Makiki.
And how many? Can I ask how many beds or patients do you have?
There are 288 beds.
Oh, really? Wow.
We're the biggest skilled nursing facility in the state of Hawaii. 288.
I didn't realize you were that big, because when I walk by there with my dog, it doesn't look that big.
Right. We're a gem in Makiki.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Good. And Miss Jenna, you're over at Avalon. And where is Avalon located?
So it's on Camphor Road, right by the police station, the Kali Police Station, and across
Camphor Road.
Yes, across of Kaivai Elementary. So not far also from Dole Intermediate.
Oh, I know it. Okay. And how many beds do you have over there?
We have a total of 108 beds.
And you guys, so we have Hale Nani in Makiki, and we have Avalon there in Kalihi. And are you mostly full most of the time?
A lot of times, yeah, we are. In fact, there's a lot of wait lists out in the community that providers do end up calling us with. And, we try every day to see how we can best accommodate them and see what kind of vacancies we have.
Good for you. So, Jessica, you're the community relations. So, I understand you have 3 properties, though. Is that correct? And the last property is? Kalakaua Gardens. And that's the new one. Now, we had Steve Nawahini on our show last month talking about the facilities. So in terms of community relations, what is your position? What's your role with the company?
So we are going into what we call centralized admissions. So I oversee the admissions departments within all 3 of the facilities. So basically, our goal with that is to have the community, our partners, contact one person for the referral sources. And
oh, really?
So we can accommodate without having to hopefully decline the patient and put those patients in one of our facilities.
Well, it's kind of good, I guess, for centralized because depending on where they live too, right?
Yes, yes.
Because
and that
sometimes they may not
helps.
want to drive into Waikiki.
Yes.
They may not want to drive to Kalihi, so it's kind of good. So you do like an assessment, or when they get the
Yes,
call.
yes. So the acute facilities will give us a call, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do a medical assessment on the patients, verify their benefits, and then we'll see in what facility we can accommodate them as well as their preference too for where they may live.
Oh, good. So you folks also involved with the Yuko Ukutsu property there on the Big Island as well?
Yes.
And who wants to talk about that facility? You guys have any information on that facility? Because we've had them before, so that's okay.
It is our VA facility. It's veterans, and we also allow their spouses to go there as well. But we only have percentages of that. They offer skill, long-term, and hospice as well. They are connected to the Memorial Hospital.
The Memorial Hospital out there in
The Memorial Hospital. They are connected to that facility, so that's where a lot of their patients come from as well. Saying that, we can also accommodate patients here that are VA to send over to Hilo if need be.
Okay. And so when you compare the choices in elder care, how do you guys find yourself different? How's your position and how you can care for seniors in Hawaii?
We offer we stick out in many different ways. We have great staff. Number one, we have staff that care and have a lot of dignity and trust for not only within the patients but within our residents as well. The families as well. We are open 24/7, 7 days a week. We offer admissions, 7 days. We have, like I said, all three services, but within Kalakaua Gardens opening up, we're going to have memory care, we're going to have assistant living, independent living, SNF, long-term hospice. It's going to be more of a luxury style is what I like to call it.
Right. I know when Steve was here
there,
with Kalakaua Gardens, it is going to be full service.
Yes.
And so it's really important. So what I like to do is talk about Hale Nani, if we could. Now, Hale Nani, you said, is the largest skilled facility in the state. And so when do people, for a lot of our baby boomers listening to the show, my peers, my friends that have called me almost, I will tell you, 4 times a week somebody calls me for their parents. And so it's always how do we get, like I had one just recently, Monday. He lives on the mainland. His 2 sisters live on the mainland. His mother lives here, and she needs care. She's getting early signs of Alzheimer's. And so how do they approach you if they needed your services? Would they call Jessica?
They would call Jessica.
And then you would do an assessment?
And then I would go in and I would do an assessment, and we would see what would be a good placement for them. We want to make sure we have appropriate placement, because at Hale Nani we have private rooms, but at Avalon we don't have private rooms. We have semi and 4-bed. So that all takes factor into the placements for the patients.
Okay, since you got that. So can you describe to our listeners there, so you have, I'm sorry, you said private beds?
We have
or
private rooms.
Or private rooms.
Private rooms,
Also,
yes.
only one person per room?
Yes. We have about a few of those. Yeah, no, I think there's 4. We have 4 private rooms. And then the rest are semi-private. We have some 3 beds and some 4 beds.
Okay. And so how is that? Is that private pay? Is it Medicaid? How is it Medicare?
Yep, we take private pay. We take all insurances.
Oh, really?
Almost all insurances, yeah, and Medicare.
Okay. And can anybody tell me what's the average stay? Is there an average stay that people, because Medicare covers the first 90 to 100 days?
It's generally for the first, depending, because there's so many different what's called HMOs now, or Medicare Advantage plans, and we are actually contracted with most of them, if not all, if you're looking at it from the different facilities. So generally speaking, on an average Part A, the benefit for a Part A beneficiary, you're looking at a total of 100 days SNF stay, provided that they qualify for skilled nursing.
SNF
it's skilled nursing level.
Okay.
So generally speaking, that's for physical therapy, occupational, and or speech therapy. It could be from needing wound care, depending on the level of the wound or the severity or the complexity of the wound. Also blood sugar checks. There's what we do best, I feel, the Avalon name is, we're not just there to provide the medical care. What I know for a fact is we focus on the entire well-being of a person. So if a family member calls and says, I'm in distress, what do I do? And actually, I'm sure Jessica has received those calls. What we can do is we're the community's partner. We want to make sure that, if we provide them the information that they need to and be informed to make the best decision for their loved one. So we have social services in-house. We have a dietitian staff. There's just a whole array of services in addition that will complement a person's overall medical condition.
Okay. So, but how do you deal with talking to families? I know a lot of times the families will come in after they're admitted and they want to. I mean, we had Keith Conashiro, our prosecuting attorney, that when his mother was in a care home, he went morning and sometimes lunch and dinner every day. How do you deal with that?
I can touch on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, we do have a lot of families that have a lot of concerns on when can they visit. How often can they visit? Can they eat with their loved ones? Can they spend the night with their loved ones? Just in different situations. We like to put it out there to the families that they are welcome anytime. We are open 24/7. After 8 p.m., our doors do lock, but they're still able to come into our facilities, minding the other residents that may be sleeping or getting ready for bed. They are allowed to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, really?
With their loved ones.
Is there a separate charge for them?
There is a separate charge. And they would handle that downstairs at the receptionist.
Okay.
Yeah. However, even with therapy, they ask, can I see my loved one do therapy services? And, we don't tell them no. We tell them, sure, that may help the resident even more to empower them because someone's watching them and they're able to see what they can do for whenever they go home, to be able to go home and know that their loved one is receiving the needs.
And so to Jessica's point, I wanted to add that, what we like to do is really listen to the families and see where they are at, alongside of what the residents' wishes are, depending on how we're receiving them, how we're starting to care for them, because understand that sometimes their idea of what care should be provided or rendered may be very different from where their loved one is at this, at any given time. So what I'm saying is we meet them where they need to be, where they are, and we help them through the process of whatever it is that needs to be done. A lot of times, I will tell you, the issue is finances. Okay, so they could come in with the Medicare benefit, all fine and dandy, and when it's time to think about the next phase,
because Medicare only covers the first 100 days or so.
And I will tell you, between the facilities, on average, it is about $10,000 per month.
Yes, that's about right.
Yes, so that does include 24-hour care, or supervision, I should say, and then care, in addition to that, as well as the other services such as dietary staff, recreational activities. So we're there. We have social services that are willing to help and see where they're at again, because every situation is different.
He's absolutely right. I've been trying to tell my friends, they say, oh, well, my auntie went here and my mother went there and where about my father? And they think, in fact, I was telling someone this morning, every situation is different. You can't compare your neighbor or your brother or your husband, what happened, and now it's going to be the same. Right. But so back to your comment there, how do people afford to pay for that? So
a lot of times we have a small proportion of those who are private pay, and generally if they are private pay, they will spend down to get to an asset limit and then apply for Medicaid. And we work with the families from there on. There's a lot of things that go into the Medicaid process, which would take another hour and a half probably.
2 hours minimum.
And again, what we're there to do is to ensure that that their loved one is first and foremost getting the care that they need, and of course that the facility is paid also. And there is a great balance to that, but that's what we do. We're there for that. So
do a majority of your clients on Medicaid, though?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, And I've been telling people for years that Medicaid is great. We probably have one of the best Medicaid plans programs in the country. But right now, I don't know, it's what, 95, 98% full on an average daily basis or higher.
That's actually a really good number. Yeah.
And so I know you guys are young. I've been in this business 12 years. Where do you think it's going to be 5 years from now, though? It's going to be a line around the corner.
Right. Well, I will tell you that it usually increases about 3% per year.
The cost.
The costs.
Yeah.
And so alongside of that, understand that Medicaid, there is a fixed cost, generally, depending on the acuity that we've provided for the previous year. But so that's a little bit more complex there. But, Medicaid is, at least we know for sure. Well, let me step back to the Medicaid process. The state is really the one that says whether or not they've been approved.
They have to get qualified.
Correct.
And every year they got to fill out paperwork.
Correct. It's to renew that.
Yeah.
And so, if someone who had Medicaid was approved and all of a sudden won the lottery or the lottery, then that of course would be revoked. But in any event, what I kind of wanted to highlight about Medicaid is that we work with the families with that. That is a very stressful part of. Actually, I was just talking with a family member last evening about that because he was worried about the finances and but if there's no staffing for that to help, it can be a whirlwind of all kinds of confusion. It's such a big concern for a lot of our families.
Yeah.
And I can imagine those listeners right now, they have questions because I'll tell you what, you need to look into that soon.
Well, as you guys know, maybe don't know, but Senator Roz Baker has brought out a bill this session to have an increase in our general excise tax of 0.5% to pay for long-term care. It pays only $70 a day for 365 days, which is about $25,500, but at least it'll pay for something. But there's also a public awareness campaign that's supposed to be coming out very shortly about the high cost of long-term care in Hawaii. Do you really want your children to take care of you? And maybe you better buy long-term care insurance. Do you see anybody, families using long-term care insurance to pay for your services? No.
I've seen it here and there, and again, there's a waiting period for that.
90 days normally.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's it really depends on the plan that they actually bought into.
Right.
Now, understand because of the age range that we care for and that is needing it at that point in time, the daily rate was probably in the 200s, at the low 200s. Whereas now it's like 3 approaching 400s per day.
Yeah.
So there's still a significant amount that comes out of the personal savings or IRAs or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, long-term care insurance. Normally when they buy it, by the way, they bought what's called an inflation factor. So that $200 a day that they bought 10 years ago, hopefully every year would go up. It's guaranteed to go up if they bought the inflation factor in there. And it's usually 3% a year. That premium, that amount will go up to pay for care. Most people have that, but the older generation didn't buy a lot of long-term care insurance. That's the reason why. Today you're seeing more and more, but still people cannot afford it because it's $300 to $500 a month. A month. I'm 56. My premium would be about $190 a month for my age, 56. So can people afford that? And if you're a couple, that's almost $400 a month. And that's net, not after taxes. So you gross that up. How much money do you have to make? Another $600 a month just to pay for long-term care insurance. So it's really important. But that bill that Senator Roz Baker has been pushing has been shelved. It's not going to go this year. So hopefully maybe next year and the following year. But it's really important. So do you folks help with that Medicaid process at all, or do you refer them out to some company that does it for them?
We do help with the process. Upon admissions, we have documentations that they can fill out. And it kind of just gives them a pre-understanding, especially if they don't have the Medicaid yet. It helps them to understand what it is that they may have to spend down or to preparate to be approved for the Medicaid.
Right.
So it gives them that general idea. And then they also know that within the process, we offer certain people outside of the community that can assist with the Medicaid process. So there are resources that we can assist them with, and outside resources that.
Yeah. Well, we have Carter in Outreach, who's
Yes.
in our magazine that we refer to. And Cassandra Stewart used to work for Department of Health, so she's very versed on that, and she's done workshops for us. So you guys really should come to our Aging in Place workshop. This year is our 10th annual workshop doing it. And it's on August 20th. So have your guy over there, Miguel, write the date down. It's a Saturday at the Avalon Hotel. Last year we had over 1,600 people come.
Wow.
And the average person stayed over 4 hours because we have 6 workshop rooms going on at the same time. So we have 18 different workshops in the morning, and then we replay them in the afternoon. And it's amazing how many seniors we have that are in their 70s coming for their parents in their 90s. Mm-hmm. It's just shocking. And then we see the 40-year-old carrying their children, but they're dealing with their parents.
Yes. Right. And I can only imagine how many of those 70-year-old people that came are still working. Yeah. Because of the need to even just, stay afloat for themselves. Yeah. The one thing you can trust with Avalon is we will explore. We will explore further, and if we need to, depending on the situation, if there's a home and a trust, that those things get complicated. We don't get in the middle of that.
Yeah, you don't want to get in the middle.
That is not what we're there for. Our interest is into caring for the resident, and of course providing the services to the best of our ability and within our within what we need to do. But I'm just going to put it out there. You have Scott Gardner also. You have Okura and Associates, who do well with the Medicaid process too. Of course, there's a fee. I don't know what that is, so they can tell you a little bit more.
Yeah. So in terms of your Hale Nani and Avalon, the facility is it mostly skilled care, or is it more assisted care? What do you see?
It's more skilled.
More skilled.
It's more skilled.
So that's really more of the latter part of the stage of the health, right?
Yes. Out there in the community, there are the ratio is. The higher percentage is skilled patients. We do try to fill Hale Nani first because they are our bigger facility here on the island.
Sure.
And we also fill Avalon with long-term and hospice care as well, with the skill mix involved in that.
So I noticed you mentioned, and I haven't heard this before, but you mentioned you also do hospice care.
Yes.
So is that through Avalon, or do you have a separate entity that does the hospice service?
So the way we partner with our providers for hospice, the 4 on island is we have contracts with Hospice Hawaii, Bristol Hospice, Islands Hospice, and St. Francis. The way we partner with them
pretty much most of them.
All of them, actually. I think. Did I miss anybody? Let me know, because we got to look at a contract there. But anyway, how we partner with them is really when you have situations where families cannot care for the individuals at home who are, dying at home, we provide the service that is needed. First and foremost, a bed, of course, and then the services that come on top of that. And then the hospice provider will be in addition and will help complement the care that we provide at the facility level. So that's how we go ahead and partner with them. And, we, depending on the services that they need, a lot of times it's pain management that's needed. Right. But for our skilled care, which is really something that we pride ourselves with, we have Brighton rehabilitation, awesome rehab, physical therapy, occupational and speech therapy. I have seen in my times, someone coming in having had a stroke and lost some ability, their ability to speak. Our goal and their goal, if it's their goal, is to get them to that best functional state that they can be, given their comorbidities, given the situation that happened to them, and thrive. Mm-hmm. And whatever it is, if it's to stay in place, go to another living, we help facilitate that. Or if it's to go home, we can help with home care arrangements, whatever it is.
Well, that's great. Well, because hospice is something that, a friend of mine told me this many years ago, that we're all going to need, right? We're all going to pass on. I know some of the baby boomers that have been on my show, they don't believe they're going to die, but they will. But yeah, hospice is something that's really, really important. And, but don't you, with your experience, don't you see hospice I mean, from the statistics I've seen, we don't use hospice enough. And also, they always call them at the latter stages of their life, like 1 week, 1 month out. Do you ever see that?
Yes.
I-
We do.
I don't know if it's because the family might just be,
No, you're right.
internally not, they don't want to think about that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen many that just last minute, like the last week or two,
Yeah.
decide to go hospice.
But like you just said, Jenna, it's all really about pain management.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we have to. The culture has been with hospice this entire time has been a connotation of I'm dooming them to death.
Yeah.
It's a service for your loved one. It's to help them feel comfortable. It's to help the family feel comfortable. And I think that's not really relayed and communicated the way it should be. And we want to try to be good partners to all our hospice providers, but we will see situations in house where someone just comes in, wants to get rehab, and their situation is such that it's just not appropriate anymore, and we have to have that difficult conversation with them. And we say difficult because they had not intended to come there and be in a state that they are in, but we're there to help them through the process.
Yeah, the process is something that where do you go to learn about this? Unless you went through a process with one parent passing away, your second parent maybe you have a little bit more experience, but a lot of people don't know what to do, don't know who to call, and it's unfortunate that that's just the way that we live, and that's why one of the big things with the magazine, we try to get people to be proactive, to realize when I hear somebody's in a hospital and if it's getting serious, I would tell them, you need to talk to your doctor. I don't want to tell you at some point he's going to pass away, but he will. But to deal with that pain management, but also hospice really does a good job at dealing with the family, counseling the family about what's going to happen, because we all grieve different ways. We had a family member that I knew they were going to, by the stories I've been hearing with this family member of mine, I knew at some point within the near future that person was going to pass away, because they went from 150 pounds to 88 pounds. I said, did you guys ever call hospice? And they called hospice only a week before the person passed away. And it just...
And the interim, how much pain could have been alleviated if there was any pain from that individual? We don't know, but...
Right. And seniors don't discuss it, and they don't want to feel be a burden at anybody else. Right. And it's just something that I think we need to start thinking about more. So we're here with the Avalon ladies from Hale Nani, to Avalon and Miss Jessica, who's a community relations. We're going to take a short break. We're going to learn a little bit more about Avalon and maybe a little bit more about how you can start talking to your parents about maybe moving to a facility. Yes. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointvacationshawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy E. Hauer from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
Welcome back to Generations Radio. I'm here with the Avalon ladies, Hale Nani, Miss Community Relations Person, Jessica, and Jenna from Avalon. But anyway, we're talking about skilled care, nursing care, and you guys are the largest in the state. I mean, I know the Okutsu VA facility is part of you folks, but that's another subject. Actually, we had them on our show, the administrator on the show about 6 months ago. I toured the facility in, I think it was October of last year.
Oh, you had David here. David Pettijohn.
No, well, one of the other ladies. But maybe she was the one that really did all the work. I don't know. But it was interesting to learn about the VA facility over there. But anyway, so let's first of all talk about this new program you have. So who can talk about your transportation program? Because I heard about it from your marketing guy, Miguel, here, and that's a great service. And we had an article in our February-March issue about the transportation program. Is it free, Miss Marlin?
So let's backtrack to why there was a need for the transportation department. Our facilities on the mainland in Utah, they actually had transportation services that was already implemented and was going great. And then we realized, wait, over here, we have residents and families waiting for transportation services to come, and it would take about an hour. Sometimes they forget. And so we thought, what if we implemented what we already have over there here? And we tested it out in September. In October, we spent a little bit more time, refining, fine-tuning it. And in November, we went full force. And it's been great.
So you have your own buses or vans?
We have 3 vans.
Oh, really?
And
wow.
then 4th with you, and a bus. Yeah.
And a bus.
We do.
And so how does that work? Is it? It's only for, I guess, people in your facility, your clients, right?
Yes. Yes. So if they're a Hale Nani resident or an Avalon Honolulu resident, they have the. Yeah.
And I'm sure Kala Gardens will have a limousine or something.
No pressure.
Well, Kala Gardens is going to be your new property. That's going to be the 5-star gem of Hawaii, right? It's premier living, right?
Yes.
But anyway, so it's when somebody's a resident at one of your facilities, and how can they use that? And is there a fee?
We do charge a nominal fee for doctor visits, or if they wanted to go home to get something, that there would be a fee. But it is a competitive price. It's what everyone else is charging out there for the most part. And then residents that are coming in from the hospital, the acute hospitals, transportation is provided for free.
For free.
For the new admissions. Mm-hmm. And if they go back out to an acute facility and they come back as a readmission, we also accommodate the transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's great, because I know not a whole lot of facilities do that.
No.
Especially the skilled side.
And we allowed the families, one family member, to ride with them as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that's good.
So how we saw that we could actually help with our providers, our partners in the community, is that we understand that they're hard pressed sometimes to free up beds. And because of the lag, because of our traffic situation, and because of just maybe shortage of vans overall, or private companies per se, we saw that as an opportunity to help the hospital setting also, to say we coordinate with us, and we can be there when we coordinate that time. And that's key, because that actually helps the hospitals open up the rooms or the beds that is necessary for those waiting for them out in the hallways or in the emergency department. And I'm proud that we actually have been able to do that for the hospitals.
Well, that's really important, especially if you can bring one family member with you, because they may feel more, have more peace of mind, at least more comfort knowing that their spouse or maybe their son. Or because if my mom or my dad went, I would probably, at least the first visit, I would want to go with them, right? Be back a little bit. So you're skilled care, and everybody kind of knows what skilled care. You're bed bound possibly, or maybe a lot of times they're bed bound or they have cognitive issues. But do you folks do like an intermediate care, like assisted living care?
Yeah, let me just clarify a little bit. So there's two levels of care primarily. We have skilled nursing facility, which is SNF, ICF, intermediate care facility. Both facilities are actually duly certified, Hale Nani and Avalon Care Center. And what I mean by that is we can take ICF and SNF. ICF is more for those who need maintenance care. So like in the situation that you just painted, bedbound, needing assistance, they're there to basically it's their home basically, and they have, we have activities that they could go to. And then we have to ensure that we're fostering their highest level of independence as much as possible and their overall well-being. And so with that, we also do hospice care, but technically speaking, it's really an added service to what we do. And then skilled nursing is the therapy. The therapy is physical, occupational, speech. That's usually the type of skilled services that we generally
Is that more
provide.
the Medicare side?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
So
I can't see again. It's already just even the terminology. It can get some people worked up, and it's like, what are you talking about? And believe me, we've heard it time and time again, and
Yeah, like I said, there's no college, no school you can go to. Nobody experiences unless you get a call from the doctor saying your dad's in a hospital. And people, let alone understand what the activities of daily living. When you say that, they go freak out, but it's really basic, right?
Right.
Bathing.
Correct.
I forget too.
Brushing
Bathing,
teeth.
eating,
Right.
dressing, some basic hygiene, transferring in and out of the bed. One person the other day said, "Well, I can put on my clothes standing up. I don't have to sit down." So basic things like that, So, any great stories that you hear from the families about your facilities?
I can touch up on. There's several stories that we hear all the time. And we have really great patients, really good families, and it makes it a lot easier, when you hear such great stories about how empowering your facility was and the impact that the patient received. We had, I'll touch on a hospice story for a moment, because it was one that really touched me. It was a younger family, and it was an unexpected situation that came. They lived down the street from Avalon. And the wife and the husband, they had 3 little kids. So it was, from the get-go, it was not an easy situation for the family. And they wanted no other facility but Avalon. At that moment, we didn't have a female bed. We got the team together, we accommodated, we made some room changes, and we accommodated this patient. She came into our facility. The husband was beyond blessed with the care that the wife received. The family came visit every day. They were loved by the staff. We loved them. They loved us. Everything was great. The patient ended up passing away, and the little girl came run up to me when I went to visit the husband, and she was only 5 years old, and she ran up to me and she said, "My mommy is gone."
Wow.
And I have a 5-year-old son, and it hit home for me, because I'm looking at this child, and I'm looking at the child's mom, And, you know, it just makes you think really hard, and it makes you put the perspective on why are you in this business. And it's because we care for the families. We care for these patients. We are here to help the community, and it doesn't matter what the situation is. We want to try anything and everything within our means to help these people in our community. That's just one story that has really touched on me for a long time, and I tell that story all the time, you know, to many people. So
yeah, I'm glad you say that, because, you know, a lot of times people, they think that all the facilities, they're cold. That's where they go die. It's very depressing. But, you know, we can also celebrate life and support the families.
Yes, and to touch on that, you know, we get a lot of a nursing home. Oh, I'm going there to die, you know, or I'm going there and I don't want to be in a nursing home. You know, even young people, because we get young patients. But that's not what we want it to for the perspective to be out there for the public. You know, we're not there for. You want to touch on that, Jenna? Maybe a little bit.
Sure. We're there to provide services depending on, you know, what kind of care they need, and we'd like to be seen as a premier provider that will and can provide care at any level of care, except for acute care, of course. So you have ICF, intermediate care, SNF, and then you have assisted living at Kalakal Gardens, independent living. So it's across the continuum of care that Avalon, the brand, can provide to our community.
And it's not just care. Honestly, it's the compassion that comes out from the care that we provide. Like, you can see the nurses on the floor. They love what they do. Like, I see some of them, sometimes they're, like, I saw one of them the other day crying, and I said, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, I remembered this resident. They were, when they first came in, you know, because they were skilled nursing before, and then they dropped down to intermediate, and just that the change, right? Like, that has affected them, and to just see the love in our nurses, I don't know, in our nurses' eyes, you know, like, it's just amazing. On top of that, we're committed. Like, every single one of us, even though you're doing community relations, or we're in the business office, or all of us, we're very committed to every single person that comes through that door.
Yeah, no, you guys do a great service in the community. You know, I've been to many facilities, obviously, with my business, but it must get really difficult at times, seeing somebody pass away. I'm in the mortgage business. I only deal with seniors. I have about 1,000 senior clients, and one of my clients called me up to go to the hospital on a December 21st. And I've never seen a client, a friend, 80-something years old, said she lived a great life. I talked to her for about an hour, and she said, "Percy, I'm ready to go." And I said, "No, you're going to be around for a little longer. I think you'll be fine." And no, I just want to go. I did everything I want to do. I talked to all my friends, and sure enough, she passed away December 24th. Wow. Amazing. I've never been. Wow. I've talked to a lot of seniors in my life. I mean, thousands, and I've never seen a situation where she just said, "I'm good. I'm happy. I'm physically not all there, and I just think it's probably best."
Wow.
I've never seen that, and it's just amazing. And so I give you guys a lot of credit in what you do, because it's going to get worse. We're going to have more and more people needing it, and we're finding more and more baby boomers having to deal with their parents, and they're going to push for more care and services. So when you said moving from the SNF to the intermediate, can we talk about a little bit how much did that cost, so people realize? Was I get calls about 4 days a week, Monday to Friday, people that I know, and ask me about their parents, and I'm just kind of surprised to this day. We don't need exact figures, but I'm surprised to this day why people don't know how much things cost. So, like, let's say you know, there's activities of daily living. Typically, for long-term care insurance, if you can't do 2 of the 5, the insurance will kick in. But what is like an intermediate care? What does that cover, and how much does that cost about?
Well, the facilities, Hale Nani, I'm not sure what their rates are, but on average, I want to say, looking at it from Avalon Care Center Honolulu, you're looking average about, and again, it depends on the the type of room or bed that they're in. So we have semi-private rooms and a 4-bed
So
ward.
semi-private, like two people?
beds, yes.
And it's like a wall down the middle or something like that?
It's a curtain.
Oh, curtain.
Yes.
Okay.
So much like the
Okay.
hospital setting.
got it.
And then, so for someone to be in there and get the activities of daily living service, it's about 10,000 a month.
That's about right.
Yeah.
For intermediate care.
For intermediate care. So, that includes having a certified nurse's aide, being able to, shower and bathe the resident, helping them get groomed, prepared for the day, and assisted in, if they need assistance in eating, then we would help to feed. If not, then we can set them up. They have exercises. We have social groups. And, at the end of the day, usually it's either karaoke or bingo or somebody coming in and helping with we had yesterday we had church service. So
good.
Yeah.
So you guys must be good at karaoke, right? You must sing a lot.
Oh no, I cannot sing.
Funny, I gotta touch up on, because Jess gave that her story, her touching story. I gotta talk about what happened with me and what I experienced recently. Is we had a wedding
at your facility?
At the facility in the Lanai.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So what happened was there was a resident who came. He needed to get therapy. He and his wife, was having, I don't know. I don't want to say issues, but I think they kind of, in terms of having to care for him, she had a difficult time.
Sure.
And so she was a little bit stressed. And they found themselves rekindling their love as as he was at Avalon. And I'm not kidding. They had a wedding.
Remarried.
They got
full
remarried.
on wedding.
We had 2 days, or how many days to figure it out?
Not even a week.
Yeah.
We didn't
Okay.
even have a
Yeah.
week.
That's probably more like it.
We even
Are
had
you
the
serious?
photographer.
Yes.
We bought the cake. We had the utensils.
How old were they? How old
Yes.
were they?
I want to say maybe the wife was early 60s.
Wow.
And the resident was probably later 60s.
Wow,
So
that's kind of young still yet.
And we all wore blue and black.
We did at their
wedding.
At their request.
Wow.
They had their first dance.
Again.
Again.
Maybe second. But it was
blue
just, it
bubbles.
was so awesome because and he cried. When he first came in, I'm telling you, he was super stoic. Just, I got this.
Yeah, that's how men are.
Well,
a lot of men are like that.
Actually, Jenna, didn't you guys just have a renovation?
we did. We also had it was
And that's
how
why
long
they
ago?
wanted to have the wedding, because we had just finished the
Ah,
renovations. And they were really intrigued on how beautiful the facility was.
Yes. Actually, you're right, because that happened in July, and that's when we ended our. So our renovations, we now you can probably see the facility because it pops. There's a color there. It's like, I don't know. It's have you been there?
I'm colorblind, so I wouldn't notice.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm serious. I've driven by it many times. So you can invite me one day.
Sure, we'll do
the
that.
next wedding you have.
Oh.
Or do you have a karaoke contest?
we
No,
do.
really, sure.
Maybe we should, huh?
I sing Lady in Red.
Oh.
You know that
For the
song.
next
You guys
wedding.
are too young for that.
For the next
Hey,
wedding.
we know that song.
So
But that's a great story.
Yeah.
That really is. And just, for a lot of men, not to single them out, but when I speak around town, I usually speak around town somewhere every week, every month. I tell the men, be nice to your wives, because the other ones will be pushing in a wheelchair later on, and it's really important. And I do see that in men as they kind of understand the reality of life, is that they really, they need to understand that as they get older, they're going to need support of the wife. And a lot of the times they realize that, man, my wife really did a lot for me, and it's so true. So, I mean, that's one of the things I eventually want to do, is to do the same thing, is be able to get married again, because I appreciate my wife, what she does, but also because, as you get older, it gets more difficult, right? And I always tell people, when you're going to get up and you're going to say, honey, I made 85 years old. Can I have Portuguese bean? I'm going to have Portuguese sausage and rice. And your wife's going to say, nope. Doctor said you're going to have oatmeal. Guess what you're going to have? You're going to have oatmeal. And it's so true. But we're finding more and more couples dealing with aging, and sometimes it's difficult, more so on the men's side, because they're all grumpy. I call them old Buddha heads,
Caregiver burnout. It could be that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's another big issue, is that we're seeing more caregivers pass away before the person they're caring for,
Or it's pretty sad when you do have, the wife being the caregiver, and it's the husband that's coming in as the resident, and the wife ends up passing away. So then you have the patient who needs more support than ever. We've experienced that.
Yeah. So anytime you see families like that, when I see when my friends are taking care of their parents, or they find out, oh, mom's taking care of dad, I tell them, you need to make sure your mom doesn't get burnt out. You need to make sure that she doesn't handle all the cooking, cleaning, paying the bills, caregiving, everything, because if she goes down, guess what? You're the one stepping up to the plate next. And so that's one of the things that you might want to do, is start counseling the families many
I just had that conversation with a wife. She comes into my office and I said, I think you need to get some rest. And she said, yes, I do. So I think it's, and actually I told her, I said, we'll take care of him. He's fine. Yeah. That reassurance of, we got that, we're looking out for them. And it's not only on the care floor, it's everywhere.
Yeah, but you really got to tell the children, because mom, a lot of times, they'll just do everything they can without realizing they're going to get burned out. So I always try to get the children involved to make sure they understand, you got to take your mom out for lunch, dinner, a movie, whatever, but get away from that stress, because they're doing everything. It's so important.
I wanted to just acquaint real quick. Avalon Care Center Honolulu used to be Beverly Manor.
Okay, I know that name before.
To Marlon's point about the renovation, we invested about $1 million into the facility. You guys need to come see it.
Yeah.
The listeners need to come see it.
Yeah. So, Marlon, you wanted to talk about the tours?
Yeah, because, earlier you were talking about being more proactive, Percy. I believe that us, as we're getting older, we should be more proactive.
You guys are still spring chickens.
Correct, right? Because then that way we know the facilities out there, not just for our parents, but if you're already at that age where you're looking into skilled nursing or long-term, please feel free and stop by. Hale Nani is located in Makiki, right by Roosevelt. Our phone number is 537-3371. You're more than welcome to give us a call, schedule a tour, and if I'm there, I would love to personally give you a tour.
You guys give free lunch?
We can
because
talk
a lot
about
of times
that.
I tell people have always tell me they want to try the food.
Oh.
Right? They want to try the food. I know a lot, especially local people, they want to make sure it's tasty. I told them, you got to understand, you go into a facility, they're not going to put a lot of shoyu in there, right?
Yeah, well, depending on their diet, right? But one of our family members actually this morning came up to me and she said, I just want to let you know, my husband, even at the hospital, he wasn't eating, but here he eats every single plate. The whole plate is empty. So I just want to let you know that your dietary department is doing awesome, because he's eating every meal.
Well, that's good, because when my auntie moved into a facility, I had to bring furikake, the stuff to put on your rice. And then when the next month I brought her chocolate chip cookies, because as you get older, you lose your taste buds, right?
Yeah.
And she loves it, and
I hope that was compliant with her diet.
I just told her, don't eat it all in one sitting. But no, it's true. I had Dr. Shintani is a good friend of mine. He's a diet doctor. He said every once in a while we have to have party food.
And it's called quality of life. That's really what it is. As long as it's within limits, and we can help to foster that. Why not?
Yeah. So for tours, is there one number they call?
Well, at Hale Nani, it's 537-3371. And
at
Avalon is 847-4834.
So for tours, maybe a lunch.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mention Generations Magazine. They might give you a lunch. It is not breakfast. But I'd love to come and visit your property. It's really important, guys, for resources. What Avalon is doing, and Hale Nani, and very soon Kalakaua Gardens. It's going to be a great time, and I think we all need to take care of our parents. So, ladies, thank you so much. We'll have to have you back on.
Thanks for having us.
And I appreciate what you guys do out in the community. I really do. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Percy.
For all of you, have a great weekend. Aloha and live well.